Hey everyone, thank you for checking out my video. Today we're looking at compound interest, continuing the lesson on exponential functions, and let's begin. So first I want to talk about the formula. This is the compound interest formula. The A represents the balance after T years, P represents the principal or the original amount, R represents the annual interest rate expressed as a decimal, N represents the number of times interest is compounded per year, and T represents the time in years. So this is what you want to do. It's going to be some word problems, and you're going to look at the word problem and find everything from here except for A, because A is going to be your final answer, and plug those things individually into the formula. Okay, now one of them is going to be this N, which represents the number of times interest is compounded. It's going to come to you not as a number but as a word, and it'll either say annually, quarterly, or monthly. Okay, so you'll look for those words. So let's take a look at an example where we find all of the things we need and then we plug them each into the formula. Alright, so in this example, Lucy invested $19,000 in an account paying an interest rate of 3% annually. Assuming no deposits or withdrawals are made, how much money to the nearest $100 would be in the account after 8 years? So what we're going to do is we're going to find out everything we need. So the answer is going to be the money after all of this is done. So that's going to be A. So we're not going to worry about that one. But we're going to take a look at P. P represents the principal, where we begin. Okay. R represents the annual interest rate, which is 3%. N represents the number of times the interest is compounded per year. And remember, I said that's going to be in a annually, quarterly, or monthly. And in this case, it's annually. And then if it's annually, that means we're going to use the number 1. And then finally, T represents time in years. How many years is going to be? It's going to be 8 years. So we're going to plug each one of those into this formula, starting with the P for principal. So you got 19,000. You got 1, open parentheses, 1 plus the R, which is 3%, but we got to convert it to a decimal. So you move it 2 decimals over, make it a fraction, and then put in N, which is 1 for annual, close parentheses, and you're going to raise it up for the exponent, and you're going to put N again, 1 times the T, which is 8. Okay, and then the next thing you do is you just type that all into the calculator. Now if you got a calculator where you can't do this fraction, you're going to put it in parentheses like this. But otherwise, you just type it in as a fraction, and you get this. Alright, so now that you have that, all you got to do is round it to the nearest $100. So we'll go over to the $100, which is 240 here. Look to the right, and we're going to round up because the 6 is higher than 5. So you got 241. And that's your answer. Got to make sure you round it correctly. Okay, let's take a look at another example. Okay, right here you could pause the video and see if you could do this one on your own. Alright, let's take a look at this one. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to find all the pieces. Here's the list of the pieces here. We're going to go through them. A is the answer, so we're not looking for that one. We're looking for all of the other 4. So Henry invested $59,000. So that's what he begins with. That's the principal. We're going to start there. Alright, next The interest rate is 2%. Then the number of times it's compounded is going to be quarterly. And then finally, we want to take a look at how many years it is, and it's 20 years. So we're going to plug each one of those into this formula. Start with P, and then the 1 that's already in the formula, plus the R. 2% we're going to change to a decimal. Move it 2 decimals to the left, and then divide by N. N is quarterly, and quarterly is 4. So we put 4 there. Close parentheses. Go put 4 again for the other N, times 20 years. And then we just type that into the calculator. Alright, and I got my 20 and 4 swapped around, but don't worry about that. You can type it just like that. Alright, now it says we want to make sure we round to the nearest cent this time. So that's going to be 2 decimal places, so we're going to take that 5 and round it up. So we get 87929.98. Alright, let's take a look at one more example. Okay, you could pause the video here and see if you could do this one on your own. Alright, let's take a look at this one. Alright, we're going to start off looking for the principal. Oh, let me read it for you. Dominic invested $19,000 in the account, paying an interest rate of 6.1% compounded monthly. Assuming no deposit or withdrawals are made, how much money to the nearest dollar will be in the account after 16 years? So we got 19,000 for the principal. We got 6.1% for the rate. We got monthly for the number of times compounded, and we have 16 for the years. I'm going to plug each one of those into this formula over here. Okay, and you know, remember monthly here, we're going to use 12. So we got 19 parentheses 1 plus the rate 6.1. So we move it 2 decimals, so you got 0.061 over the N, which is monthly, which is 12. Close parentheses, another N, 12, times, don't forget that times, T, the number of years, 16. And then you just type it in the calculator and get your answer. Alright, so since we want to round it to the nearest dollar, we want to round it to this 8, okay? And next to the 8 is a 0, so we're just going to write it out. 5, 0, 2, 9, and 8. And that's it. And that is how you do compound interest. I want to thank you for checking out my video. Have a nice day.